So, who are you?
My name is Fida Hussain, and I'm originally Afghan, but I was born in Pakistan. I've been living in Australia in the last 5 years. Since then, I've done stuff in communities such as I'm a youth ambassador at the Australian Refugee Association, and also I'm an ambassador for White Ribbon, and I'm a regular or a long-term volunteer for Welcome to Australia. Been part of that organization the last 5 years, and then I'm a uni student, studying international relations and social work. And at the same time, I'm working at a high school, at Fida Hussain High School. I'm doing SSO work probably 2 days a week. And yeah, I'm here today.
Good. So, and we're glad you're here today too. So obviously working for an organisation like, the Refugee Association, what do you see as the benefits of a multicultural society, whatever that means?
I guess for me, working for them, because they've got people from all over the world, let's say African communities, they've got Middle Eastern communities, Arab communities, a lot of people from Sri Lanka, Afghan, Pakistan. So when you work in those kind of space, you don't really realize that you're working with them, so they all come under one umbrella. It's human beings. So that's the thing that I really love about Australian Refugee Association. And the second thing is that you also forget about, because if you come out of that space, there are people who talk about religions, about their languages, about everything. But when you go to that workplace or that organization, you only focus on humanity. You forget about religion, you forget about the race, or you forget about color, you forget about everything that is creating boundaries between us today. Unfortunately, we're living in a world that a lot of boundaries are being built recently, especially the Americans. Creating a wall, but that kind of stuff demolish it. We don't have those things in that area or that capacity. So that's why, and also the multiculturalism. I guess the migrants are, they're bringing a lot of good stuff for the Australian economy. There's a new study that was undertaken by CGU, insurance company, that they said that out of the 3 business, in small businesses, 1 out of 3 are being run or being started by migrants. These are the contribution. Earlier, I think 2-3 years ago, there was another study undertaken by the Migrant Council of Australia, and that by 2050, the Australian or the migration communities or migration will contribute to the Australian community about $1.6 trillion. So that are the benefits I think we are seeing here. And yeah, I guess we're lucky to live in such a vibrant community, because we've got people from all across the world, and I feel pretty lucky to be working for them and also living in a community which we have got people from all over the world.
And what's your role as a youth ambassador?
As a youth ambassador, I think what we do is we go to different community places that are dealing with migrants, because it's important, or what ARA believes it's important for them, ARA, Australian Refugee Association, they believe that people who are new to the community, to Australia, to this community, it's important for them to have the right resources, to be connected to the right people, because often they feel isolated. Coming to a new country, it's really hard, really hard, but they are trying to make that transition a bit more smoothly by offering help, by connecting them to different organizations, or just being friends with them. So that's what we do. We go to different schools, we go to different community sectors, and also representing the Refugee Association, that what other services they've got. But they've got a range of services at that place.
So already you're speaking very positively. You've talked about humanity. Do you think here in Adelaide we have cultural harmony?
I guess for me, again, I've got really positive experiences since I've been in this community, so that's why I love Adelaide, and that's why I'm not moving anywhere else.
Great.
But I definitely, personally, I believe that we've got harmony, because I've seen a lot of people, they are so keen to learn from us, from people who are new to this community, and they're so keen to learn from about other cultures, such as about their religion, about their culture, about their food, especially the food. that has brought a lot of that is the thing that is connecting this community together, especially if you go to the north side, Salisbury area, Elizabeth, such as Prospect Road, so these places, when you go, there's in restaurants you've seen people living together, eating together, and so they when you come together for food somewhere, like going to restaurants, the whole boundaries, there's no boundary among them. They all think that they are from one country, they belong to one community, and that's why they're eating together. So I think we definitely have got cultural or harmony.
Can I ask you, is that your experience from Afghanistan?
Look, we have got this kind of similar attitudes back in Pakistan. Of course, I'm Afghan, but I was born there, so I don't know a lot about Afghanistan, but obviously in Pakistan we do have got this. But there's a lot, behind the scene there's a lot of racism going, because there's a lot of that's why a lot of people are running away from Pakistan, because of this ethnicity, because of their religious belief, and there's some minority group aren't being accepted by other minorities. So these are the things that are making or causing them to flee their country. But here we don't have that case. We don't have I guess there must be a lot of racism, I would acknowledge that, but for me, I haven't come across to those kind of things, to those kind of situations, because everywhere I hang out or I associated with or I work for them or I volunteer, they have been pretty positive experience for me. So that's why I think we definitely have got harmony.
Excellent. So if I had to force you to put a score on that, out of 10 in Adelaide, from 1 to 10, our level of cultural harmony, what would you score us?
Well, I guess I would say I'm a little bit biased, or I'm a little bit, because of the places that I hang out or associate with, I would definitely give it a 7.
Okay.
Of course, it's not for everyone. A lot of people have got like 3 or 4. But personally for myself, as I mentioned earlier, that I have been around people that have been so supportive, that have been a massive help in these transitions. Or my transition, it has been really smooth, because I had help from a lot of people. When I first came here, I could not speak English at all. I did not have a single friend, and I came here on my own when I was 16 and a half. But the people, the Australian people, the Adelaidean, they made it really smooth. So I just that's why I think I would give it a 7 instead of 4 or 5.
So you came directly from Pakistan to Adelaide?
Yeah, so there's some other, I had to go through other countries, yes. But I came to Adelaide, yeah.
So can you remember some of those first positive experiences did you have sort of like what I call wow moments that you came here having had those experiences in Pakistan? Yeah. Can you remember what those first ones where you did go, wow, this is good?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. Because what happened when I first came here, as I mentioned earlier, being totally to a new world. Let's say they have thrown me out of the planet, out of the earth, and I'm living in a Mars or on a Mars planet. So that was exactly my experience. So when I came here, everything was so new to me. But the one thing that stuck to me was that inclusiveness. Even though I could not speak language, I could not continue any communication, any conversation with people, but they still tried to, encourage me. They kept chatting with me, even though I don't know if they did understand me what I was talking about, but they were nodding and acknowledging their understanding. And so I guess that was the beautiful moment for me that will stick with me forever in my life. But yeah.
Do you have any funny or interesting stories about when you came here that perhaps you didn't quite understand what was going on, or the culture?
There's a funny, but I don't know if it's good to it's suitable for us to chat about it now, but I will share anyway. I was going to high school just at North Side or North area. It's called Para Hills High School. So there's some kids around recess time. We're talking about going to. From English school, I went to high school, which is a mainstream school. So I was in year 11. It started from second semester, and we were sitting. I think we were sharing some food. We were having some food. I can't remember exactly whether lunch or recess. So we were sitting on a bench and had a chat. And so there are people from Iraq and some people from Palestine. So there's some people. We're sharing stories how we migrated or when they came here. And they asked me where I was from, and I said, look, I'm Afghan, but my parents, they came to Pakistan. Instead of saying 20 or 30 years ago, I said 3 decades ago. So just to I was trying to, you know, speak in a way that I could be fitted in that community, because obviously the kids, they don't understand a lot of stuff, what I was going through, because of when I was new and I could not speak English, but I tried, you know, but I put a lot of effort to learn the language, and just pretending that I'm very good at English. In reality, I wasn't. So that was one of the funny things that happened, and they were laughing, and they still, whenever they see me, they say, "Oh, dickheads." I'm like, yes.
So the politician, so that was about you settling in Australia. So the politicians throw around the words assimilation, integration. Do you like those words? Do you have a better word?
I guess assimilation, I think that's a word that we shouldn't talk about. We should really leave it outside, and because it does not have a good, I don't know, it doesn't have a good connotation or meaning. Because what happened when you come to a new country, when you say assimilation, which means that you have to forget a lot of stuff. You have to forget your own culture totally. You have to forget about everything. You're into a new country, you should do whatever we do, whatever we tell you. So I think that's the thing that we should leave it out. Integration is a word that I might use it sometime, because it's a good thing. Integration happens in a two-way process, because migrants, they're adopting the Australian culture, they're adopting the Australian way of life, but at the same time, the wider community, they are learning more from the migrants. You know, they're trying to learn about their religion, about their culture, about their food, especially that we are in Adelaide, and we've got really rich. We are pretty rich with the food, lucky to have food from all over the world. So the wider community, they are learning from the migrants. So I think it's a two-way process. Integration, that's a word that I'll use, but I would definitely use welcome and settled instead of those words, because when you first come to a country, it's necessary, it's important for you to have a positive experience of the country that you're living with. So if you say welcome to this country, which means that yes, I'm lucky to be here, because they're accepting us, you know, they're accepting us, they're an inclusive community, and I'm lucky to be here. But when you say assimilate, which means that you're here in our country, you have to forget about everything that you have brought with yourself. No religion, no culture, nothing. Forget about everything. Just be a totally new person. I guess that's a hard thing. And also the word settled, because which means that they are settling in this community, and you've got a lot of support from the community itself that are settling them or making that process a bit smoother. So definitely using the words assimilate instead of assimilation or integration. I will use the word settled or welcome.
Good. So can I just take you back to something that you said when you were talking about integration? You talked about the Australian way of life.
Yep.
What's your perception of the Australian way of life?
Well, I guess there's stuff, I don't know a lot about it, but there's stuff that you would not do. I mean, especially in the sign languages, you know, there's a lot of differences with the sign languages. Back in Pakistan, there's some doing things that you're not really supposed to do. That means really bad things. That's a swearing word, but it's here, it's excellent, like using the thumbs up. You know, it used to be, you know, something that did not have a good meaning back in those countries. But here, it's good. If you thumbs up, yep, that's the perfect. But back in those days, or in those countries, it's not a good thing to say, because it means something pretty negative. So there are those kind of things. So also learning, you know, what are the things that are accepted in the Australian culture, and especially with the fairness, because coming from a country that did not that wasn't the case. There's not a lot of fair. There's so many things that's happening that is not fair to the rest of the community or to some gender in that country. So here it's totally the case. Of course, we are facing a lot of those discrimination to one part, to some group, to some genders, to some, you know, but it's not that higher rate. We're having a slow or a lower rate. So I think these are the things I would say Australian way of life.
And when you first came here, were there certain things that you struggled with about that Australian way of life?
No, I guess definitely I would struggle, but at the same time, as I mentioned earlier, it has been a smooth transition for me, because I had the supportive friends, that had supportive people that were around me. I was surrounded by many people that supported me in different ways, such as my language, and such as my, teaching me how to behave and all those new things, because I was a little kid those days, and so that people that showed me the right way, and I'm pretty grateful of that. So I don't know, there was some stuff that was a little bit weird for me, especially going to the beaches. We don't have beach back in Pakistan, right? So that's a completely new things for me. I did not have friends that were around me that were telling me or educating me about those areas, I would have approached, or I would have acted differently. But those are the things, in terms of the food was one thing. The second thing was about clothing. That's the other thing that is a little bit hard, because we've got a different clothes back in those countries, but here we've got a very different. So these are the things that I would say we've got differences in them, but I guess.
Do you wear traditional clothes?
Not here.
Here?
No, it hasn't happened to me. But occasionally I do.
You do?
Occasionally, but not a lot of the time.
Can I ask you when you wear those clothes?
Probably when I've got hang out with friends from the Afghan community. When they've got a big celebration about the Eid, we've got those celebration that is happening once or twice a year. Or when there's a big gathering or meetings, I don't know if they've got any, but yeah, I do wear my traditional clothes.
And do you feel comfortable now in a
definitely
shirt and
I definitely feel comfortable.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, but there are a lot of taboo subjects in Australia that people just don't seem to want to talk about. First of all, what do you think they are, and where do you think these fears come from?
I guess that is a very tricky question, but I would say that is fear of others and fear of unknown. Because what happened that people are really scared of those people that are new, but they don't have any idea who they are. They don't know them because they don't have that personal connection. They don't know a lot about them. They only believe what is being portrayed in the media. But unfortunately, nowadays the media is portraying in a negative way or stereotyping those people coming from certain countries. And so that's what a lot of the community people that are living here, they don't have that perception of, yeah, they are not those kind of people. They've got their beliefs that, yes, these are the people that, has been shown or portrayed by the media to us. So that is a thing, I guess, that's the thing that people are not feeling comfortable with, but I would really suggest that if they could go and make some sort of personal connections, they go and see them, they go and talk to them just for a little bit, and then they will have the idea of, yep, we were wrong, because there's a lot of things that the media definitely is portraying in a negative way. And so of course, if it was me, if I don't have any personal connection with someone that has always been portrayed in a negative way, I would definitely not have, I wouldn't associate with them, I wouldn't do anything. But unfortunately, that's the thing happening today. And I also would acknowledge that there are a lot of people that are making this effort. People who are thinking critically, they don't believe in those kind of things. So this is why we are developing slowly, because they think, look, this is not what they are. This is not what we have seen on the media. They are different people. They've got a strong stories. They've got different life experiences. So this is not the case that we're seeing, or stuff that we're seeing on the media is not the right thing. We have to go and see them and make that personal connections, and that is helping them a lot. And that's why we are living in a harmonious and peaceful way in Australia.
So are you saying that the media is not telling
the true story?
So what story are they telling it, and why are they telling the story?
Well, I don't know, because certain media, the owners, they've got their own agenda. Sometimes their parties, the Australian politicians, they don't want these kind of things to be portrayed in a positive way. They always think it's negative coming from those some certain countries. It's there are people who have got these kind of things in their blood. Let's say killing people coming from Afghanistan. Oh, of course, Taliban. Yeah, they are Talibans. They've come from a country that have lived with Talibans, but they don't know that we are the people who are fleeing from those people. And so these are the things, I guess, that they are portraying. Or these people believing in that certain religion, they are a terrorist, or they are doing this and that. But they don't have that. I'll show you funny stories that happened to me. In 2014, I had a school friend that we were together, very good friends. But one day we went to see one of my other friends, and once we got to their place, I asked him to take his shoes off. And he said, "Oh, why? Why should I take my shoes off?" I said, "Look, they are praying. They're praying, putting their praying mat on the ground, and they're praying. So that's why we can't really go with their dusty shoes." And he suddenly said, "Oh, they're Muslims. I'm not going to go there." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Oh, look, man, they're Muslims. How do you think I should go? You know, they're dangerous. They're terrorists." The fact that I'm Muslim and we've been best friends for a long time. So these are the things. And I asked,
what was his cultural background?
Of course, from the white, I don't know what culture, but he was born in Australia, so I don't know about his ethnic, but he was definitely born in Australia. But now he is, and I took him and said, "Look, this is not the case. Let's go inside, have a chat with him, have a cup of tea, and I have to go and need to, if you're going to wait outside, you're more than welcome, but let's go. It's better for us to sit inside, and I'm there too, so nothing's going to happen." We went inside, and now these two are best friends. And because they did not have that connection, they did not have the personal connection or personal experience with someone that has gone through those stories, and they are being stereotyped or being portrayed negatively, he was really scared just by hearing the name without meeting the person. "Oh no, I'm not going to go inside."
Did he come with you the first time, or did it take the second?
No, I took him inside. Otherwise he would have waited outside. It was pretty hot, 42 degrees. It would have been melted. But yeah, these are the stuff, I guess, that people are really fearful, and I guess the media is playing a big role in this area. And hopefully, you know, people have got you know, some people are good that they've got this critical thinking, and then they try their best to make this community a bit more greater and more inclusive. So
in Fida's ingredients for cultural harmony, you've mentioned one thing there, which was, you know, the personal connection. What other do you think are the secret ingredients for cultural harmony?
I guess one of the first thing that would be acceptance. That's one of the thing. The second thing would be open-minded. That's a really good one, because you need to be really open-minded to have to prove or to have that opportunity to talk to someone. And then the third thing would be goodwill, because if you've got a goodwill and you are commuting, let's say in Australia, living in a community, if you're coming from a country that did not have a lot of opportunities for you to do things, by coming to Australia, you have got the right intention, you've got a goodwill, and you try to do things in the country, and you have got a lot of opportunities in this country to do, and then you could make a big commitment, and then you can, you know, contributions would be the thing that if you've got a goodwill, you can contribute in the community. So I guess that's the thing that I would mainly focus on.
Can I just take you back to acceptance? So acceptance can be a very easy word, though, can't it? You know, it could be, you know, I've got some Indian people. They live next door to me. They make a lovely curry.
Oh, beautiful!
Beautiful curry. Is that the level of acceptance that we're wanting?
Well, I don't know about that one. Of course, you would definitely accept someone, or you should accept. Living in this country, it is important for you to accept others, no matter what religion or what culture or what they cook. You have to accept them, because there's no other way. You can't. One of the other thing is, people say, "Oh, I don't have to accept them because I don't have to believe with everything they say. That's why I'm not accepting them, because this person believes in this way." I would tell you that you should not accept. You should definitely have got the acceptance. You should be respectful of what they say, but you don't have to agree with them. So there are things that let's say culturally, you know, people coming from culturally and diverse background, they have got things that would not be accepted in the Australian community, but they are doing just in their own thing. You know, they don't want to forget their culture, they don't want to forget their heritage or, you know, belief or whatever. They can do in their own space, and if they're not causing any kind of harm to other, I think they should be accepted in the community.
So we've asked some of the interviewees to bring some items with them that have had personal cultural significance. You said that you travelled very light to Australia. Had you had that opportunity, and knowing that you were going to remain in Australia for a length of time, can you tell me what you might have brought with you to Australia and why?
Well, I guess for me, I did not have that opportunity, first of all, because I traveled, or I left home I left my family when I was 16 and a half. So for me, hearing that I'll be traveling, because being a teenage, living in a teenage life, I guess, being free from mom and dad, or escaping away from family, I think this is one of the things that I always wanted. Like as a young person, that's what you believe. You think that, yep, I'm young, I've got the freedom that I can do whatever I want. But when I was told that I'll be leaving the country, I was so happy and excited, just because the things that I brought with myself was just my clothes, and that's it. And then the night that I was leaving home, or the next morning that I was traveling, my mom said to me and said, look, my son, I'll tell you one thing. And she showed me the stories that there was a great poet, or I don't know, poet or someone, he said that everywhere you go, you need to make home for yourself, you need to build a house for yourself, and this is what I want you to do. Everywhere you go, you have to build a house for yourself. And I said, Mom, it's really hard for me. What do you mean building a house? And she said that not a physical house that you should just take a brick, build a house, but just make connections, be friendly, be open-minded, be accepted. And that's why I think the 3 words that I said for the harmony, just acceptance, open-minded. And so for me, these are the 3 things my mom said to me, that yes, you should have these qualities, and you can automatically build a house for yourself. And that's one of the things that still is stuck with me, and that's going to stuck with me forever.
So in fact, you have brought something of personal cultural significance with you today, which is your mother's word.
Mother words, that's the thing I've got. I'm carrying for my life, because that's a good thing, and I have got the result of it. So I'm pretty sure, and I'm really happy that I got that advice from my mum. And yeah.
And so my last question, Fida, do you belong in Australia?
Oh, that's a really tricky question. I guess I definitely, it depends what time or when you're asking the questions. For me, I strongly believe that I belong to this community. But it's not the case all the time. There's some stuff which I can't disclose because I'm not allowed to. I've got a special visa that does not allow me to talk about things that are meant to be discussed in the community or with others. So I cannot tell everything, but I would say that there are some times that I don't belong to Australia, but there's most of the time I do think that I belong to this community, because I work, I volunteer, I've got friends, everyone that I know today are from Australia, and I have made my life here, so I definitely or strongly believe that I belong to this community. But unfortunately, there are some times that is not the case, and I think that yes, I don't belong, because there's some particular people that don't accept you as who you are. And of course, because of the time that I came to Australia, it was just a matter of the time when I arrived in Australia, and I don't have that correct piece of paper that I could call this country a home. But apart from that, everything, as I said, Australia is an inclusive country, very kind, generous, and there's some very good people, or I could be the lucky person to be associated with these people. But for me personally, I do believe that I strongly believe that I belong to this community.
Thank you for sharing your time with us today. Thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you. Thanks for giving the opportunity.